What's up, everybody? Andrew Cooper here, Fantasy Alarm. It is Monday, which means we dig through all the data, give you all the information that you might have missed snaps, routes, injuries, all that stuff behind the scene that doesn't really show up in the box score. Before we get to that, just want to say first and foremost, thank you to you guys, man. Thank you all season long for tuning in, checking out, liking, subscribing, all the shows, everything we do at Fantasy Alarm. I really, truly appreciate it. Hope you guys have a happy holiday. I think this is going to be the last one of these for the year, but if there's enough people that play through week 18 or just want the information, let me know. I don't mind popping on and doing this because it's to help you guys. It helps give me a good recap. Also, quick shout out to a lot of the sources out there for information beyond Fantasy Alarm, beyond the NFL, beyond these own two eyes. I always look around and see what I can find. You might not know who got hurt, you might not know why certain guys missed time. So shout out to Pro Football Focus, shout out to the Player Profiler. Shout out to StatHead, Pro Football Reference. Shout out to Sumer Sports. Shout out to Fantasy Points Data Suite. So many more things, football guys, that we use just going through and kind of figure things out. So why don't we jump in? We'll start with the Saturday games real quick. I know people had time to digest those, but the first one here: Texans at Chiefs. Nico Collins. We'll start on the Chiefs side. Start with the home team. So with this one, we saw the return of Marquise Brown. So Xavier Worthy still led in routes run, still got a bunch of targets. Same with Travis Kelsey. Those are the top two guys. 38 routes for Worthy, 41 for Kelsey. They led in targets. With Marquise Brown back, he only played 20 snaps out of 74, only ran 15 routes, but got 8 targets, right? If that role grows for him, then it could potentially be something. I mean, probably more of a DFS play. It's hard to start a guy championship week on only 20 snaps, but everybody else rotated outside of Worthy, and Worthy rotated too. 59 and 74 snaps for him, 39 for Watson, 36 for Hopkins, 27 for Juju, 20 for Marquise Brown. Noah Gray got banged up at one point, but he came back, but still, it's hard to trust that guy. Travis Kelsey ran 41 of 46 routes. Noah Gray ran 19 of 46. And then at running back, the split was a little more down the middle. In fact, it favored Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt got 11 carries, ran 18 routes to 9 carries for Pacheco, 13 routes. So that split, I mean, it was 32 snaps to 26, so still kind of down the middle. Samaje P. Ryan played a little bit too, so hard to trust there. On the Texans side, Tank Dell suffered the brutal injury. That really stinks. I hate to see that. Hopefully he bounces back. They're saying it's a dislocated kneecap patella, so we'll have to see what other kind of damage is involved there. But rooting for that guy for sure. Nico Collins also got a little bit banged up in this one. We'll have to see what's going to happen here, but I think Nico should be good to go. The replacement for Tank Dell, they could be one of three guys. Robert Woods and Xavier Hutchinson both kind of split those snaps this week. Woods probably offers the better floor, but John Mechie could return. He's probably the upside play. That's kind of the way I'm going. It's like if I'm going to go with somebody, I'm going to go upside, and that's not really Robert Woods. Joe Mixon got the bulk of the work. Dare Agumbawale helped on some pass plays. Damian Pierce barely played. And then Dalton Schultz, not a he gets a bump with Tank Dell out for sure, because last year he was averaging 7 targets a game in the games without one of Nico Collins or Tank Dell, right? This year they had Diggs and Nico and Dell, so he was way on the back burner, but no Diggs, no Tank Dell. Schultz back on the menu. So definitely keep an eye out for him. We'll check and see if he's on waivers in our waiver article coming today. Next game on Saturday, Steelers at Ravens. In the Ravens game, it was Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman. And then they did their thing with the fullbacks and the extra tight ends. So no wide receiver played more than 50% of the snaps outside of them. Mark Andrews played 48 snaps. Isaiah Likely played 40. Andrews ran 16 routes. Likely ran 17, but Andrews got more of the work, scored the touchdown. Then Derrick Henry got pretty much all the work. Justice Hill got a concussion. So Rasheen Ali came in and was the backup there. So if you're looking for the backup for Henry for championship week, Rasheen Ali, again, DFS dart throw, it's all Henry. On the Steelers side, with no George Pickens again, who missed time and might not be back for next week. They're hoping he is, but it was Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson leading the way. Both ran 29 routes out of 38. Scotty Miller and Mike Williams each ran 17, 18 routes, but weren't they? It's like can't trust guys like that. Pat Fryermuth actually led the team in routes run with 30 out of 38. It had 3 targets. The other tight ends are mostly blocking tight ends. And then Jalen Warren and Najee Harris. Interesting situation there. I'm trying to figure out what happened here with Najee. He played the early downs, but didn't play particularly well, and they ended up getting behind. So Najee only played 17 snaps. Jalen Warren played 40. 26 of them were pass plays where he ran routes. So again, when the game script dictates it, that's the way it goes. For the Sunday games, first one here, we'll look at Falcons Giants. Michael Penix looked fine. Didn't really have to do a whole lot because the defense kind of was making massive plays. Uh, we saw Drake London get hurt in this one and might not be available this week. If he's out, it'll probably be Darnell Mooney and Kaderil Hodge opposite him with Raven McLeod playing in the slot. Assuming Hodge is back this week, he was out this week. But Mooney and McLeod are probably the guys you want to trust. Hodge is on like the dart throw radar for DFS. For Kyle Pitts, he only ran 20 of 30 routes. Charlie Warner played more snaps. Charlie Warner only ran 7 routes. They really just not a good setup for Pitts. So Pitts, we already kind of moved him off our radar, but yeah, you can't use that guy. Bijan Robinson played 50 snaps to 18 for Tyler Algier. So despite Algier getting some carries when he was in the game, Bijan is the lead dog. With the Giants, it was Malik Neighbors and Wandell Robinson again, 52. I mean, it was Robinson, Neighbors, and Darius Slayton all played huge snap shares. So out of 58 snaps, you got 54 for Robinson, 52 for Neighbors, 50 for Slayton. So those guys playing the whole game. But Robinson and Neighbors, 12 targets, 14 targets for those two guys, 2 for Slayton. So those are your guys. Daniel Bellinger, he did a lot of pass blocking, ran 27 routes out of 42, got all the tight ends combined, got 1 target. And then Greg Dulcich, he played like a handful of snaps at the very end of the game. So he's just not even involved. Tyrone Tracy played 36 snaps to 13 for Devin Singletary. He got more carries. He ran more routes. Eric Gray mixed in a little bit towards the end, but Tyrone Tracy is still ahead of Devin Singletary over there. Next one here is the Panthers at the Cardinals. Bryce Young playing a lot better as of late. People that gave up on him in Dynasty, looking like he's coming around a little bit. We'll have to see. Still a long way to go. With no Xavier Legette, it was David Moore playing 61 snaps, Jalen Coker opposite him with 56, and Adam Thielen playing primarily in the slot. But Thielen got the most targets, 6 targets for him, 4 for Coker, 3 for Moore. We like Thielen and Coker best if Xavier Legette continues to be out. The tight ends rotated a lot as they do when they're both healthy. So Tommy Tremble ran 17 routes, 21 for Jatavian Sanders, 3 targets for Tremble, none for Sanders. Him getting hurt there with a neck injury kind of really derailed things for him, but we do like him in Dynasty. So definitely keep him stashed there, but can't really use him in any other format right now. Chuba Hubbard dominated snaps, 57 snaps of a possible 68, only 7 for Blackshear, 4 for Boone. So Hubbard is a dog. On the Cardinals side, Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. continue to be the top guys. Zay Jones, Greg Dortch rotate. Can't really use them. Trey McBride played his normal snap share, ran his routes, only 3 targets though. Obviously, still has not scored a touchdown. So down game for him at the worst possible time. But if you're still alive with him, great. Start him again next week. I mean, he's Trey McBride still. Kyler Murray looked okay. I mean, disappointing season for them. They lost and are now eliminated. James Conner got hurt in this one, which is big news because Trey Benson's been banged up. Amari DeMercado is on the IR. So Michael Carter was activated, and DJ Dallas was kind of a pass catching back. But Michael Carter got more work in all phases once James Conner was out. Got 5 targets, had 6 carries. With DJ Dallas had no carries in the game. So if James Conner's out, it's either going to be Trey Benson if he's going to be active. They play on Saturday, or it's going to be Michael Carter. So, and those could be the biggest, most impactful waiver ads. So we're going to circle back with the waiver information tomorrow. We're going to try and get as much info as possible, but that's probably going to be the biggest waiver option out there. So there you go. I forgot to put the game up on the bottom of the screen. So there you go. Real quick flash of Panthers at Cardinals before we move on to Lions at Bears. The Lions pulling out all the trick plays. Kind of interesting that some of these teams, like Josh Allen, came out and said, hey, we're going to be vanilla as possible because we don't want to give away our tricks. Detroit is just busting out all the tricks. They don't care. They're using their stars. They're doing whatever. So I know they got a lot of injuries. We'll be interested to see which strategy works better moving forward here. But yeah, whatever. It's fun. It's much more fun to watch the Lions. I'll tell you that. So with the wide receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, 54 snaps and 55 snaps for those two guys, 31 routes run out of 33 for each of them. Those are your full-time guys. Sam Laporta, 60 snaps out of 65, 28 out of 33 routes run, got his targets. He's been trending up for sure. I think he's been banged up early in the season, a bunch of different things, the hamstring, the shoulder, a bunch of stuff, but now he's healthy, looking good. With no David Montgomery, they didn't split very much between Gibbs and Craig Reynolds. 45 snaps for Gibbs, only 10 for Craig Reynolds. Jamar Jefferson, Seattle Vaki mixed in a little bit, but it was all Gibbs. He is your RB1 in fantasy football, until David Montgomery gets back, and he's probably not going to get back to playoffs if he does come back. On the Chicago Bears side, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, those three guys play most of the game. Rome Odunze comes out for 2 wide receiver sets, 10 targets for Moore, 11 for Allen, 7 for Odunze. It's kind of the way it's been. So Moore and Allen are the guys you can trust. Odunze is kind of on the fringe. Cole Kmet is not a guy that we're using, only 3 targets this week. Just don't trust that guy. I know he scored the touchdown, but be very careful there. DeAndre Swift, 47 snaps to only 16 for Roshan Johnson. Roshan returned for his first game back in a while this week, and he kind of took that second job there. But it's still DeAndre Swift at the top in all phases. So he's going to be the guy that you start over there. And Roshan, not even a handcuff plus, just a pure handcuff. And again, going to championship week, Swift is healthy. So those guys don't really matter a whole lot unless you play week 18. Bengals at the Browns here. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins were your top dogs. T. Higgins left for a brief period. He's dealing with a knee issue, so just keep an eye on that. If he were to miss time, it would be Andre Yosivas and Mike Gesicki probably stepping up with targets, but can't trust those guys. Otherwise, they combine for 5 between the two of them. It's Chase and Higgins. Those are the guys. Chase Brown played 55 snaps, only 2 for Khalil Herbert, so he's the man. On the Brown side, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore played their roles. Michael Woods, obviously filling in for Cedric Tillman, played a big snap share. He doesn't really do a whole lot, but Jeudy and Moore kind of struggled a bit with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. David Njoku was peppered with targets. And Njoku actually played a limited snap share with the hamstring, 41 of 66 snaps, only ran 24 of 42 routes, but still got 10 targets. So they love that guy. DTR loves that guy. So hopefully he'll be fully cleared for this next week, in which case he'll be starting. Jerome Ford with no Nick Chubb got 53 snaps, 13 for Pierre Strong, 2 for Donta Foreman. So Jerome Ford definitely startable with no Nick Chubb. Next game here, Colts, Titans. Michael Pittman led the way, 61 snaps. Adonai Mitchell played 55. Josh Downs only played 36. So they put Pittman and Mitchell on the outside with no Alec Pierce, and Downs still was a part-time slot guy. I hate to see that. They didn't really need to throw much because Jonathan Taylor ran all over everybody. In fact, they only dropped back pass 14 times. Michael Pittman ran 14 routes, 13 for Mitchell, 12 for Downs, but it was just such a big Jonathan Taylor day. Didn't have to do anything. We don't trust any of the tight ends on this team. 5, 6, and 4 routes for Ogletree, Mo Ali Cox, and Granson, so don't worry about that. And then, Taylor's locked in. Trey Sermon is the rundown backup. That is the preferred backup, and Goodson would work on pass downs if anything were to happen. Tennessee Titans here, Calvin Ridley and Nick Westbrook-Akine on the outside as always. Tyler Boyd in the slot, and the new quarterback here, Mason Rudolph. He seems to love these tight ends. I mean, Chigakonkwo 9 targets this week, 30 of 36 routes run. Definitely a good thing for Chig when Mason Rudolph's in there. So he's definitely on the DFS radar. We're moving him up in that capacity. Playing from behind, Tony Pollard is your early down back. Tajay Spears is the pass down back. Because they're playing from behind here, Pollard, 24 snaps, Spears, 37. 21 routes for Spears, only 14 for Pollard. The carries were very similar. So in negative game scripts, it's Tajay Spears. So keep that in mind. Pollard in positive game scripts. And if they're not going to be in a positive game script against the Colts, I'm not sure when they will be. Let's see. This week they're playing Jacksonville. So actually, maybe. So keep that in mind for your projections, like whether you think they're going to win or lose this one really determines which of these guys is going to get more work. Next game here, Jets at Rams. For the Jets, it's easy. It's Garrett Wilson. It's Devontae Adams. Alan Lazar is the third fiddle as a dart throw. Tyler Conklin returned. He got 7 targets because they threw a ton. But again, not a guy we trust when Wilson and Adams and Breece Hall are all playing. Breece Hall played 53 snaps, 10 for Braylon Allen, 10 for Isaiah Davis. So he's way ahead of those guys. He's healthy again. So you're starting Breece Hall where you got him. With the Rams, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, those are the top guys. Demarcus Robinson is your third fiddle DFS guy, but again, 1 target for him. Cooper Kupp, very disappointing last 2 weeks. I'd be surprised if you had a Cooper Kupp team that was still alive, but maybe you do. With the return of Tyler Higbee this week, we saw out of 52 possible snaps, 19 for Hunter Long, 17 for Colby Parkinson, 14 for Tyler Higbee. So now there's just no tight end you can trust at all over there. Kyron Williams, 43 snaps to 9 for Blake Corum. We're used to him getting that big snap share. So Kyron Williams definitely on the menu wherever you have him. Commanders here, Terry McLaurin led the way with no Noah Brown. We saw 47 snaps out of 67 for Alameda Zacchaeus, and he got 8 targets. De'Ami Brown played 44 snaps. Jamison Crowder played 30 snaps primarily out of the slot. I know he scored 2 touchdowns, but only 21 out of 46 routes run, less than 50%, 4 targets. So after McLaurin, it's kind of a pick your poison of Alameda Zacchaeus or De'Ami Brown. I mean, I guess with Zacchaeus playing, they both ran 32 routes, but Zacchaeus played some extra snaps, got 8 targets. I guess he would be the lean. I don't really want to trust any of those guys. Zach Ertz coming off concussion protocol, played 48 snaps, 37 out of 46 routes run, only 2 targets, but he played way ahead of Ben Sinnott, so he's still the guy whenever he's playing. Brian Robinson led the way, 42 snaps to 19 for Jeremy McNichols. McNichols just mixes in on a couple pass plays. It's Brian Robinson most of the way. On the Eagles side, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith at the top. Can't trust Jahan Dotson or Johnny Wilson, any of those guys. Can't trust Grant Calcaterra either. Jalen Hurts left this game with a concussion, so he might have Kenny Pickett next week, but you're probably still starting A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith in this matchup. And you were definitely starting Saquon Barkley, who once again led the way the entire way. It's worth noting that the rookie Will Shipley suffered a concussion, so it's just kind of Kenneth Gainwell as the main backup there. Next game, Vikings, Seahawks, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, 2 top dogs. Jalen Naylor is kind of the third guy, but didn't really play a ton because they rotate the tight ends and the fullback so much. TJ Hawkinson, 46 snaps, 31 for Josh Oliver. That's out of a possible 66. So Hawkinson still only ran 28 of 40 routes. It's just he's not at the level we expect from him from last year. They're bringing him up very slowly, which I think is smart for a team that has 12 wins, but just not good for fantasy. So we're not going to rank him super high, uh, as high as he would be if he were fully healthy and like the top guy. Aaron Jones will rank high, 54 of 66 snaps. Cam Akers only played 7. So Aaron Jones, absolutely a great option right now. On the Seahawks, DK Metcalf and JSN continue to lead the way. I thought Tyler Lockett can make a little noise this week, but he's clearly behind those guys. 7 targets for Metcalf, 12 for JSN. Noah Fant, in games where they throw a lot, can pop as the third or fourth option in the pass game. This week, they've dropped back to pass 46 times. So he ran 35 routes, got 6 targets, but still more of just a DFS play. Kenneth Walker got nicked up in this one. He was already dealing with a calf issue, left at the end of the game with like 7 minutes left with a ankle issue. So, and Charbonnet's been banged up, so he split with Kenny McIntosh, old Kenny Applesauce there. So we'll have to see what happens with Walker. If he and Charbonnet are both out, Kenny McIntosh would be a waiver ad. If Walker is out, then Charbonnet is a kind of must-start guy, and Kenny McIntosh just kind of a DFS, whatever. But keep an eye on that situation. Could be some value to be squeezed out of that. Buffalo Bills continue to rotate their guys. Khalil Shakir led with 44 snaps out of 59, 6 targets, not so bad. Mac Hollins was second with 42. Keon Coleman, 39. Amari Cooper, 32. So nobody's playing the whole game. Everybody's kind of rotating around. Amari Cooper, very disappointing. I wonder if that wrist is still bothering him. At tight end, Dawson Knox played 33 snaps to 20 for Kincaid. 20 routes run for Knox, only 14 for Kincaid, but Kincaid got the target. So when he was out there, they used him. Josh Allen admitted, honestly, kind of that they're letting their foot off the gas and they just don't want to show everything. They knew they could win this game. They could let it get kind of close, though. So maybe be careful with that. They're still fighting for the 1 seed, but it's out of their hands if the Chiefs win out. Ty Johnson actually led the team in snaps here from a running back perspective, 23 to 21 for James Cook. He played a lot of pass plays, but James Cook got 11 carries. Ray Davis got 5. Ty Johnson got 5. And Ty Johnson ran 16 routes to only 9 for Cook, 8 for Davis again. I think they just kind of were playing this one soft and just saying, hey, we're just going to win this one, take it easy. So I don't know, not great for fantasy when they do that. Kayshon Boutte on the Patriot side, 64 snaps out of 73. He's been leading the team for a while. He got 7 targets. Kendrick Bourne played 51. Demario Douglas played 43. Those guys are just like DFS or Demario Douglas. You can be used in deep PPR leagues, but if you're going to go with anybody from this team, it's Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry, 32 routes run, 8 targets again. Over the last 5 weeks, he's had 8 or more targets in 4 of those games. And then Austin Hooper is like, he's like Noah Gray. but just on a worse team. So he could score a random touchdown. He runs some routes, but you're not going to really use that guy. Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson. Interesting situation here where basically Stevenson's the starter, but Gibson has kind of carved out a role on pass downs and 2 minute drill. And this week they ran so much hurry up because they had the ball right before halftime. And then at the end of the game, they, were doing hurry up that Gibson played like all those snaps and ended up playing more snaps than Stevenson. But Stevenson's still the starter. It just sucks that he's not the 2 minute drill guy. He used to be. I don't know what happened there where that flipped, but Gibson is now the 2 minute drill guy. So I don't know. That's hurts Stevenson value. He was already kind of a tough start, but that's just not good. Jaguars at Raiders. Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker are your every down guys. Jacoby Myers obviously more reliable than Trey Tucker. Terrace Marshall Jr. is actually the third wide receiver, the cast off from the Panthers, but he didn't get a single target. So it's Myers is the guy, Tucker's the dart throw, and then of course Brock Bowers you're starting wherever you have him. 11 catches this week, 13 targets. He's awesome. Michael Mayer is your inline blocking tight end, only ran 19 of 41 routes, whereas Brock Bowers ran 39. So Aiden O'Connell uh, is a starter, remains healthy here, which is a good thing for Bowers. Alexander Madison was a starter, got more carries, and actually also ran 20 routes to 19 for Abdullah. So basically, he's getting more of the carries and half of the pass work, which makes him a decent option. Whereas Abdullah, we would have needed him to get like all the pass work to really be a guy we're using. On the Jaguar side, it was Brian Thomas Jr. and Parker Washington, as it's been. 12 targets for BTJ, 6 for Parker Washington. Josh Reynolds and Devin Duvernay rotated as your wide receiver 3, but can't use those guys. Brenton Strange disappointed a lot of people this week. He actually, I believe it seemed like he got benched during this game. He had a fumble and then he had a ball that kind of hit him in the hands and he was like looking for a pass interference penalty that he didn't get. But they put in Luke Farrell, who got some targets towards the end there, which is just not what you want to say. So Brenton Strange is off our radar as somebody we trust because he only played 34 of 67 snaps. Luke Farrell played 32. Josiah DeGuera played 17. Just not good. Travis Etienne got more snaps, 35 for him, 19 for Tank Bigsby, 13 for Dernis Johnson, which is not what we want to see. Johnson did not get a carry. Tank Bigsby got 12. Travis Etienne got 9, but Etienne ran more routes. He's the preferred pass down guy. So those guys are going to be ranked fairly closely in our rankings, and they're not going to be ranked fairly highly. Miami Dolphins, Malik Washington took over the Jalen Waddle role. If Jalen Waddle is out, Malik Washington played 58 snaps out of 67. Tyreek Hill played 56. So he led this team in snaps and routes run, ran more snaps and routes than Johnny Smith as well. So keep that in mind. River Craycraft was the third wide receiver, but this team uses the fullback so much, third wide receiver doesn't really matter. Johnny Smith, 37 snaps, only 25 of 36 routes run, got 6 targets. Wondering why that is. If he got banged up, I couldn't find any information on that, but we'll have to double check on that because usually he plays a much bigger snap share. Didn't like that. So he played 37 snaps. Julian Hill played 31. Durham Smythe played 24. So not great, but still, there's the tight end position such a mess. You're still using Johnny where you have him. Devontae Chan, 50 snaps of 67. Raheem Mostert played 21 of 67. So those are your top guys there. Jeff Wilson, kind of just hanging out. On the 49ers side, Juwan Jennings played the Brandon Ayuk role. Deebo Samuel played opposite him. And then Ricky Pearsall was the wide receiver 3. He's in Juwan Jennings' old role. So Jennings and Debo are guys that you use where you got it. And Pearsall is the next man up if something were to happen. George Kittle played 63 of 64 snaps, ran 41 of 46 routes. So he's locked in for you there. And then with all the running backs out, no CMC, Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason, Isaac Garendo, it was Patrick Taylor. I mean, he played 51 snaps, and Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback, played 22. No other running back played a snap. So Patrick Taylor, if all those guys remain out, is the guy. And then the last game here, night game, Buccaneers, Cowboys. On the Cowboys side, Brandon Cooks led the way because CeeDee Lamb got banged up. I think that with that, they're eliminated now and the shoulders banged up. To keep an eye on him. If he can't go, Brandon Cooks is your dart throw. Jalen Tolbert also left, so it'd be like Brandon Cooks and Kavontae Turpin as the top wide receivers here. Jake Ferguson played. He rotated with Luke Schoonmaker and Brevin Spanford and Princeton Fant. So he only played 37 of 60 snaps, but he did run 22 of 36 routes, got 9 targets. So not a guy we're going to elevate way up. But if CeeDee Lamb is out, then you got to have him as a back end tight end 1. right? Because they just have nobody else. Rico Dowdle played 46 snaps. Zeke only played 3. So it's the Dowdle show for sure. On Tampa Bay side, it was Jalen McMillan and Mike Evans once again. McMillan's now a guy that's fairly trustworthy. I mean, 6, 7 targets last few games. Absolutely, if he's going to play that much, especially with Cade Otton out, if Cade Otton remains out. If he does remain out, Payne Durham played 67 of 72 snaps, 44 routes run out of 56 targets. Still probably the third fiddle on the team behind Evans and McMillan, but deeper leagues, FFPC 10 and premium leagues, maybe you think about it. Bucky Irving played over Rashad White, 41 snaps to 36. Irving got more carries, White got more targets. That's what they like to see. All right, that's it. That's the lineup here. Good luck with your remaining matchups. If you have Packers going tonight, probably don't have any Saints going tonight. But that's it for us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, Fantasy Alarm subscriptions right now, massive deal going on for the holiday. 50% off for all of 2025. It gives you a 7-day trial. So all our rankings, everything behind the paywall for the next 7 days for your fantasy championship. So check that out. If you're not a member yet, it gets you in the Discord, gets you everything. It's the best deal we got going. So fantasyalarm.com/holiday. If you want to help support us, help yourself, or just a like or subscribe is something you can do for free. Thank you guys. Happy holidays. I'll be talking to you.